World War I, the war that changed the world. Introduction. In 1914, Europe stood at the height of its power. Empires stretched across continents. Industrial cities pulsed with factories, railways, and steel. Diplomacy, nationalism, and military planning had become tightly woven together. What many leaders believed would be a short, decisive conflict instead became the deadliest war the world had ever known. World War I reshaped borders, destroyed empires, and transformed warfare forever. Europe on the brink. By the early 20th century, Europe was divided into two rival alliance systems. On one side stood the Triple Entente, Britain, France, and Russia, linked by fear of Germany's growing power. Opposing them was the Triple Alliance of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy, though Italy's commitment remained uncertain. Militarism, nationalism, and mutual suspicion made the continent unstable. A single spark was enough to ignite war. The assassination at Sarajevo. That spark came on June 28, 1914, in Sarajevo. Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary was assassinated by a young nationalist, Gavrilo Princip. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia and issued an ultimatum designed to be rejected. When Serbia refused full compliance, war was declared. Within weeks, alliance obligations pulled Europe into a general conflict. The march to war. Russia mobilized to protect Serbia. Germany mobilized in response and declared war on Russia and France. The German war plan, known as the Schlieffen Plan, aimed for a rapid victory by invading neutral Belgium and encircling Paris. Britain entered the war to defend Belgian neutrality. Millions of soldiers marched toward battlefields that would soon become killing grounds. The Western Front and trench warfare. German forces advanced rapidly but were halted near Paris at the Battle of the Marne. Both sides dug into trenches stretching from the English Channel to Switzerland. Machine guns, barbed wire, and artillery made offensive warfare devastating. The Western Front became a static battlefield where progress was measured in yards and paid for with thousands of lives. The war at sea and in the air. Britain's navy imposed a blockade on Germany, cutting off vital supplies. Germany responded with submarine warfare, introducing U-boats capable of striking unseen. At the same time, the air war evolved rapidly. Aircraft moved from reconnaissance roles to dogfights and bombing missions, signaling a new dimension of modern warfare. The Eastern Front and Global War. On the Eastern Front, vast armies clashed across Russia, Poland, and the Balkans. Germany inflicted devastating defeats on Russian forces at Tannenberg and the Masurian Lakes. Meanwhile, the war expanded worldwide. Fighting erupted in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. Japan seized German possessions in the Pacific, while colonial troops fought for imperial powers far from home. 1915 to 1916, escalation and attrition. As the war dragged on, casualties mounted into the millions. New weapons appeared, poison gas, tanks, and heavy artillery barrages. The Battle of Verdun became a symbol of attrition, where both sides aimed to exhaust the enemy rather than achieve decisive breakthroughs. The Battle of the Somme introduced tanks but at horrifying cost. Revolution and America enters the war. By 1917, exhaustion spread across Europe. In Russia, shortages and military failures sparked revolution. The Tsar abdicated, and eventually the Bolsheviks seized power, withdrawing Russia from the war. Germany resumed unrestricted submarine warfare, drawing the United States into the conflict. American industry and manpower shifted the balance of power. 1918, the final gamble. With troops freed from the Eastern Front, Germany launched a massive spring offensive in 1918. Initial gains threatened Allied collapse, but the advance stalled. Allied forces, now unified under a single command and reinforced by American soldiers, counterattacked. Tanks, aircraft, and coordinated assaults broke the stalemate. The collapse of the Central Powers. One by one, Germany's allies collapsed. Bulgaria, the Ottoman Empire, and Austria-Hungary sought armistices. Inside Germany, revolution spread. The Kaiser abdicated, and a republic was declared. On November 11, 1918, an armistice was signed, ending the fighting on the Western Front. Aftermath and legacy. The war left nearly 10 million soldiers dead and millions more wounded. Empires vanished. New nations were created. The Treaty of Versailles imposed harsh conditions on Germany, sowing resentment that would later fuel another global conflict. World War I transformed warfare, politics, and society, leaving a legacy that shaped the 20th century and beyond.